There's a reason you can't stop thinking about the wrong person, and it's the exact same reason the right person can't stop thinking about you. It's not your looks, it's not your money, it's not how funny you are. It's one invisible force, and once you can see it, you can create it on purpose. Not just on a first date, for the rest of your life. Psychologists have studied it for decades. Every magnetic person runs on it, usually without knowing, and most people only ever feel it by accident, then spend years confused about why it faded. So today, we're going to make it deliberate. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes someone stay hooked on you, why it disappears, and how to rebuild it the healthy way that lasts for decades, instead of the toxic way that burns everything down. Here's the force. It's tension. Tension is the quiet electricity between two people when the story isn't finished yet, and your brain runs on one simple rule. You don't replay what you've already solved. You replay what's still open. Psychologists call it the Zeigarnik effect. We remember the unfinished far more than the settled. A waiter can hold a dozen unpaid orders in his head perfectly, then forget them the second the bill is paid. Your mind does the same thing with people. Certainty is comfortable, but certainty is forgettable. The moment someone feels they've got you completely figured out, completely guaranteed, the thinking about you quietly stops. Think about who's lived in your head rent-free. I'd bet they weren't the sure thing. They were the ones you couldn't quite predict, the text you reread 4 times, the person whose next move you couldn't call. That uncertainty wasn't a flaw, it was the engine, and there's a chemical layer underneath it. Dopamine, the molecule everyone blames for pleasure, isn't really about pleasure at all. It spikes on anticipation, on the maybe. Neuroscientists found that a reward you can perfectly predict barely moves it, but a reward that's uncertain sends it through the roof. It's why slot machines are built on almost winning, not winning. It's why you refresh the chat waiting for a reply. Your brain is a prediction machine, and it fires hardest for the person it can't completely predict. Hold that thought, because there's a healthy version of this, and a version that will quietly wreck you, and almost nobody can tell them apart. Most people meet tension in the worst possible way first. You've seen the couple who fight like the world is ending, then fall back together like they just met, all highs and lows. Silence, fireworks, silence again. In the moment it feels like the most passionate love of your life. It's usually the most painful. That's tension, but tension without safety. In attachment psychology, the whole spine of the book attached. One person is anxious, chasing closeness, and the other is avoidant, pulling away. The push and pull becomes a roller coaster your nervous system reads as excitement. Underneath, it's fear. You're not addicted to the person. You're addicted to the relief when the anxiety finally breaks. And here's the cruel joke. The more anxious someone makes you, the more you mistake the anxiety for chemistry. Your heart pounds, you can't eat, you check your phone every 30 seconds, and your brain files all of it under "this must be love." It isn't love. It's a smoke alarm. Real attraction and raw anxiety can feel identical from the inside. The difference is what they leave behind. Anxiety leaves you drained and smaller. Real connection leaves you steadier and more like yourself. So people draw exactly the wrong lesson. They decide the spark requires chaos, that love is supposed to hurt. It doesn't. You can have the electricity without the wreckage, and the way you do it is almost boringly simple. Stay with me, because this is the part that actually changes how people treat you. You have standards, knowing what you want, knowing what you won't accept, and being able to say it out loud. That sounds like the least romantic thing in the world. It's the most magnetic thing you own. Because a person with real standards isn't fully available, fully predictable, or fully yours to take for granted. They keep a little of the story open on purpose, and without a single game. Standards are the healthy engine of tension. They create the exact uncertainty your brain craves, but they build it on respect instead of fear. There's a concept from, of all places, the food industry. Food scientists chase something called the bliss point, the precise ratio of salt and sweetness that keeps you reaching for one more bite and never quite full. Attraction has a bliss point too. The sweet is your warmth, the way you make someone feel wanted, seen, safe. The salt is your standards, your boundaries, your self-respect, the parts of you that don't bend just because someone wants them to. All sweet and no salt. And they're satiated, they have all of you, guaranteed, so they stop craving. All salt and no sweet, and it's just harsh. The whole magic is in the ratio. Picture the two ways this breaks. On one side, the person you can walk all over, agrees with everything, drops their plans the second you call, never has a preference, never pushes back, hands over every ounce of themselves on day one. We're taught that's what love looks like, but there's nothing left to discover. No tension, no spark, just comfortable and quietly boring. On the other side, the person who's all edges. Abrasive, self-centered, always right. They have boundaries, sure, but no warmth underneath. You never feel appreciated. You never feel like your view matters. You never feel cozy. That's not attractive either. That's just cold. The person who stays on your mind lives in between, warm enough to feel like home. Enough self-respect that you never quite get to take them for granted. So how do you show a standard without turning into either one? You put the warmth and the boundary in the same breath. Say someone pushes for something you're not ready for. The doormat swallows it and goes along. The harsh one snaps and makes them feel small. The balanced move sounds like this. Honestly, part of me really wants to. I'm into you, but that's not my pace. If you want to slow down and actually get to know me, I'm all in. Warmth, then standard, then an open door. In one sentence you told them you like them, told them who you are, and gave them something to earn. That's not manipulation. In the book Models, Mark Manson argues the most attractive thing you can do is be honest about what you want and unwilling to fake who you are, because vulnerability plus self-respect is a combination almost nobody has the nerve to show. Standards aren't a wall you put up. They're you refusing to disappear. But here's the honest problem. A lot of people don't communicate their standards for one simple reason. They don't actually know what they are. If that's you, it's not a character flaw. No one taught you. So here are 3 questions that surface them fast. 1. What have I always quietly tolerated and resented later? That's a boundary you never set. 2. After which people do I leave feeling more like myself, and after which do I leave feeling smaller? Your standards live in that gap. 3. What am I afraid that asking for would make me too much, needy, difficult? Whatever you're most afraid to want is usually the exact thing you need to say. Standards aren't a list you download from a video. They're the quiet record of what keeps you whole, and the moment you get clear on them, something shifts in the way you carry yourself before you say a single word. So how do you know the tension has drained out of a connection? Watch for 3 quiet signs. First, total predictability. You can script the whole week before it happens. Second, you've stopped surprising each other because you've both stopped growing. And third, the subtle one, you start giving up your own preferences just to keep the peace, and you call it maturity. It isn't. It's the slow erasing of the 2 separate people who were interesting to each other in the first place. The good news, every one of those is reversible, not with a grand gesture, not with a fight, with a self. So how do you bring it back without games, without manufacturing drama? You don't chase the other person, you reclaim yourself. Start by taking back one piece of your own life you quietly gave away, the hobby, the friends, the goal you shelved. Not to make them jealous, to become someone with a center again. Then reintroduce one honest preference. Pick the small thing you've been swallowing and just say it, kindly. Actually, I'd love it if we did this instead. Watch what happens. A real boundary, said with warmth, doesn't push people away, it wakes them up. And finally, create genuine novelty, not a bigger gift. A new experience you go into together, when neither of you knows exactly how it ends. Tension isn't something you do to someone. It's a byproduct of 2 people who are each still growing. Fix the growing, and the spark takes care of itself. Because here's the part almost no one talks about, and it's the reason this isn't really about dating. You might be thinking, sure, tension at the start, but what about 10 years in? 20? Doesn't the mystery just run out? Here's the truth. The spark in a long relationship is the quiet sense that you never fully know this person, and standards are what keep that alive. When you know what you want and you keep growing new interests, new goals, new opinions worth arguing about over dinner, you never fully harden into someone your partner has memorized. You stay a person who's still becoming, and they get to keep meeting the new you. Think of the most magnetic long-term couples you know. They're not fused into one blurry unit. They're two whole people who chose each other and kept choosing each with their own world, their own friends, their own edges. The couples who lose the spark usually aren't the ones who got too comfortable. They're the ones who stopped evolving, who quietly let their standards go, gave up their own life, and slowly became completely predictable to each other. Keep your standards, keep your own world, keep changing, and there's always a little unfinished story between you. That's tension you can sustain for a lifetime. So this whole thing, the reason someone gets addicted to you and stays that way, it was never a trick, and it was never chaos. It's a balance, warmth and standards, safety and a little mystery, making someone feel deeply appreciated while never once forgetting to appreciate yourself. Give all of yourself away and you disappear. Guard all of yourself and you go cold. But hold that balance warm, self-respecting, and always a little bit still becoming, and you don't just attract someone, you stay genuinely interesting to them for the rest of your life. Not because you played hard to get, because you stayed real and you kept growing. If this shifted something for you, subscribe. This whole channel is about understanding attraction as something you can actually learn, not luck you were or weren't born with. And watch this next, why people pull away right when things are going well. Because once you understand tension, the very next thing worth understanding is why some people run from it. I'll see you there.